Some people get stressed about game nights, and that's fine. But if you're going to invite a few people over and you're going to have a game night, it's important to come with the appropriate game to get people excited, to get people in the mix, to help people not feel like they have to read rules for 4 hours, and to ultimately have an enjoyable evening so that way you can have future game nights. And so I've asked each person here to bring a game that they see as like a great starter for a kickoff game night with a new group of people. I have brought The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31. The reason I picked this game, if you haven't seen it, without going into all the details, is because, number one, it's cooperative play. If I bring people over, I want to play a game with people. I don't necessarily want to immediately sit down and face off, because maybe it turns out someone's a little bit more competitive and maybe it gets a little mixy, it gets a little dicey. So I like to start with a cooperative play game. That said, number 2, this game has a hidden identity element, which is really great because someone isn't quite who they say they are. Now, I've done some game nights that are hidden identity, but like only hidden identity. So imagine a game like a Secret Hitler, for instance. Mm-hmm. There have been instances where that has created some tension, shall we say, if people feel a little bit too like come at during the game. So again, I like that this still has primarily the cooperative play element. The last thing, one of the things that we were told by the guys at Mondo when they created this, guys and girls, they wanted a game that you could communicate the rules and start playing the first round within 15 minutes. And this game does that. I just ran a game night with a new group of people for the first time this past week. This is the game we sat down with, and genuinely, within about 15 minutes, we just started playing. This is a game that you can kind of learn on the fly. So if you know how to play it, you can sit down with someone, tell them what they're starting with, give them the overview, and then you can just kind of explain it as you start taking turns. And on that note, the game can go pretty quick. That is my recommendation, The Thing by Mondo, for your next game night. It can play up to 8 people, I believe. And like a lot of games with a hidden identity element, I do think it plays a little bit better with more people. But I just recently played this with 4 people, and it still went over great. Andrew, why don't you go next?
The game that I want to show you guys is Happy Little Dinosaurs. So Happy Little Dinosaurs, the base game is a 1 to 4 player game. However, you can get an expansion that allows you to play with 2 additional players. So 6 people can play this game. Why I would say that this game is fun, it's very quick to learn. There's only a handful of mechanics to it. You are playing against each other, so it's not cooperative play, but it's very fast-paced and fun, light-hearted game. The art in the game is very cute, and so even for people who aren't big game people, they will be like, oh, that's cute, or the cards are written in a very satirical, funny way, and so they can appreciate that, even if they're not big into gotcha-style play. But that is kind of the main focus of the game. You're trying as a dinosaur to make it out of a meteor shower before you go extinct. You're the first one to try to do that. You do that by playing cards that you draw. It's a fully card played game. You can play up to 6 players if you have the expansion. They have several expansions. They're all fun. There's a puberty expansion where your dinosaurs, the thing that they're trying, the disaster they're trying to avoid is like a pimple breakout on picture day, or your voice dropping in the middle of like that kind of thing. So it's very fun and playful events that happen in the game. It's 30 to 60 minutes. It's pretty quick play. Typically in an evening, you play like two rounds of it, probably. Very quick to learn. And like I said, it's very accessible. You can get this at Target or at Walmart. Go pick up this game. I think it's a winner.
Cool. My turn. When this question came up, I wanted to think about a game that I would not play all night, but start my game night with. Me and my friends have always liked to bring a lighter game to kind of get us all in the mindset of playing games as people are kind of shuffling their way in. In the industry, you would call this a beer and pretzel game. It's a game you'd play with snacks and not much thought. But the game I'm talking about is Flux. The basic idea of the game is you start with one card on the table that says draw one, play one. And those are the only rules of the game. So you don't need to explain rules to start. That is the only rules. And as people are playing cards, the rules are changing and evolving. Which means that you could be drawing a lot more cards, or that a win strategy could end up on the table, or the win strategy could change right as you're trying to build towards it. So I guess there can be a little bit of strategy, but really it's a lot of the randomness. But what I think is amazing about this is your friends who are competitive and friends who have never played a game before will be at the same level. There's no rules to misunderstand because the rules all fit on a couple small cards. And the game can be played between 5 minutes and 30 minutes. And at the end, when things are getting crazier and you're past minute 15, like you're taking your turns very fast. Like, there is no waiting. So even if you're playing with a larger group, like you're not waiting minutes for your turn. Everyone kind of knows what cards they're going to play, and things kind of start cooking really quick. And then all of a sudden it just finishes. And then you can start a new game, or you could pack that up and move on to like the more serious game that you might have planned for the night. And one thing that's really, I think, super interesting about this game, you can buy the version that has a theme your group will like.
Andrew, how much is your game?
My game, all in to have a 6-player game, you're probably spending $50.
And Will?
$19.99.
And I just checked the thing. You can find it for about $50. And we've given you 3 different play times. We've given you something that is as short as 10 or 15 minutes. We've given you like a 30-minute game, and then we've given you like an hour-long game. So there's some brackets. Everything fits nicely. So again, next game night, these are our recommendations.
Some people would think we even talked about this before we jumped on air.
Nope, this was all
that worked out great.
This was just all luck of the draw.
You know, every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. But if you find a turtle on a fence post, you know it didn't get there on its own.